We maybe start here. I
Yeah,
see
sounds
we
good.
got 9, 10 people in here right now, and I'm sure some more people will come on, but
Yeah, carry on with it.
Nine,
figured
ten.
Well, it
we
looks like
try to get
all the Indians finally showed up.
yeah,
Yeah, the
talking
Brotherhood.
technical stuff. The Indians just they go quick. So but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I figured all of us for the most part are trying to get some good traction on the internet and
Yeah. Okay,
and
cool. Let me start off. I guess let me just do a quick intro into my
figured
other side of my life. Um, so I started this business in 2000. So I've been running it for the last 24 years. Started back in the UK and started from my bedroom, and I'm currently back in my bedroom. We have a team in the UK, so we have 6 people in the UK, and we have a team in India as well. We have about 6 or 7 people over in India as well. Uh, and we predominantly deal with the web sphere. So it's looking at websites, it's looking at session optimization, it's looking at uh, database development, software development, that kind of stuff. So that's really the sphere that we're in. Our UK team predominantly deal with all the design work and the search engine optimization and the social media aspect of stuff. And our team in India does the back end development. And yeah, that's how we've been running it for the last 24 years. Um, my role in the beginning, my background is computer science, so that's where I come from. I did an MBA afterwards, and that's when I then started this business about 2 or 3 years later after working. And it's always been something I've always been involved with. Big passion for tech, and just seeing all the changes in the last 20 something years. And it's kind of fascinating to see where things are kind of heading. But the core part of all of this has always been the web for us. Creating websites for people, making sure they're being found, getting all the marketing done for them. And that's really where we love what we do. Um, and so that's kind of where I kind of started from, and that's currently where I am. So I'm back in my bedroom again from the office, and I kind of love doing that. So it's good. At least I don't have to do any commuting anywhere. So that's nice. And let me just start this up here. Got a quick presentation to go through, and then we can go through some more tech stuff. I wasn't sure what kind of stuff we wanted to do, so I'm going to just start off with some fairly basic stuff, and then we can get into more detail if we need to. Or if people want to get into that, that's fine.
awesome.
You can see this. Okay, so this is just me. This is Rajabali. Name me twice. That's how good I am. But I normally go by Raj, so that's what I kind of do. Um, okay. What we're trying to do, I guess, is in terms of the web. I mean, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with working with websites and then move into session optimization, which I think is where more people want to kind of come into it. Uh, why have a website? What is it we need? What are you trying to do with your business? It's understanding a number of things and what you're trying to what are you trying to gain from having exposure online. um are you trying to take over a particular marketplace? Are you trying to satisfy some of your customers' needs? What is the aspect of what you need to do for your business, and how are you trying to do that? And those are some of the questions that you need to start asking yourself in terms of, do I just want to remain local? Do I want to become more of a statewide operator, or do I want to become a multi-state or a national operator? And those are the questions you need to ask, and then starting from that, building up to where you want to get to. Okay, this slide's a little bit small. So benefits of having a website, obviously it's increasing visibility. It's helping customers find you. It's giving you some level of customer engagement where people are coming on your forms, filling stuff out, if they're requesting some information from you. It gives you a nice way of creating some support where if you're getting regular questions coming in from people, this is a good way to say, okay, well, go and have a look at our website. We have a bunch of FAQs on there. We have a bunch of stuff on there that you can go in and find more information at. Similar to what we do on our Facebook page, right? It's going through and say, we have all of this information in there. Go and do a search on there, and you can do something similar from your website. The third aspect is obviously marketing and branding. It's making sure, if you're trying to attract larger customers or corporate clients, a lot of that time they'll come back to your website to see who you are, what you're doing. And then that gives you it gives them a sense of a peace, if you like, to say, okay, well, I'm this is an established company, it's been around for a while. I can see what kind of services they offer, and then taking that conversation to another level. You can then obviously offer promotions and offers if you're selling stuff online. If you have if you're selling ATMs or parts or whatever else you're selling, this gives you a nice angle to kind of bring that in. And obviously then taking credit card payments makes everything a lot easier to make sure you're getting paid, and the whole flow of that transaction happens kind of seamlessly. You want to make sure your website is user-friendly. And by that, we mean, it's got to be available on a phone. It's got to be available on a desktop. It's got to be available on an iPad. It's got to be easily viewable without having too much stuff going on your website, which confuses people. Simplicity is the key in all of this stuff. Is making sure that it's simple for people to navigate through, to find the information they need to, and making sure that they're getting to where they need to get to. And it's important to have information that's relevant to your to you as an individual company, or you as an individual, and make sure that it's something that people will want to come back to and read again. Right, a couple of things this is a process that we tend to go through with a lot of our clients is, what is it that you need to do for us to help you build your website? First of all, it's making sure that and this is what I started off with, it's understanding who your audience is. Are you working in a local environment? Are you working on a statewide or a national environment? It's understanding what we call your target audience and what you want to achieve from your website. Are you looking at just purely, is it just content, just to market yourself to be there on the web, or is it something you want to build and maybe you sell stuff on there? It's looking at that aspect of it. And then what are the services that you want to offer? A lot of people will offer just ATMs. They'll offer installations. They'll offer processing. They'll offer sales if they're getting into that side of things. What is it you want to do and achieve from that? And then after that, it's like, okay, we've done the website. Okay, it's done. And then, but it's how do people find you? And that's where the search engine optimization comes into it. When you go onto Google, when you go onto Bing, when you go onto whichever search engine everybody prefers. I mean, 90% of the people still use Google. So it's how you being found. What are the terms that people are looking for, and how are you being found from there? And then making sure that you're having content and stuff that's regularly updated. Okay, understanding SEO. Is this okay? Am I going too fast, too slow? Can you understand? We good?
Yep.
Yeah, all
Everything's
good.
perfect. Everything's all perfect.
Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. So SEO, what is it? It's basically trying to make you be found on Google. Ideally everybody wants to be on the first page. That's really where you want to be. And it's how you get there and what do you need to do to achieve that aspect. But what it also does is, if you're being found on the top of Google, it's also giving you a level of trust with organizations. Okay, well, these guys are being found. I'm coming up against a lot of competition. And if you're being found, then more people are going to look at your website and kind of make an assessment about who you are as a business. It's the other side of SEO is it's technically it's free, right? It doesn't cost a penny to do it. It doesn't, or in this case, it doesn't cost you a cent to do it, right? I'm talking to the US side of things. So it's making sure, yeah, it's free to do, but it's time sensitive, right? And it takes a lot of time to do a lot of that stuff. So what a lot of people and the way we run our business is we tell people, yeah, you can do this yourself. It's not an issue. We can show you some of the ways of doing it, but do you actually have the time to do it? Most people want to run their business and run it because that's what they love doing and that's what they enjoy doing and that's what they're there to do. What they don't want to do is get involved with the technical side of things and start running, trying to do all the session optimization, trying to do all the technical stuff, which they have no either interest in or they don't have any technical aptitude to do that. And so, that's where we step into that side of things, because even though it's free, it takes a lot of time to do some of that stuff. So first part of this is doing keyword research. What is it? What are the kind of terms that you want to be found for? What is it? For example, if you're in our case, the ATM business, you want to be found for ATM services or ATM services in Los Angeles or in New York or in Michigan or in Chicago or in Stockton or San Francisco. So what are the terms again? What is it that people want to do? What is it you think that people would be searching for? And there are tools out there to help you kind of give you a little bit more information in terms of what are the kind of search terms that you might want to use. And there are tools there, for example, Google Keyword Planner, Ahref, SEMrush, and there's a few others, and I'll show you some demo of one or two of those a little bit later on. And you can use those tools to say, okay, well, these are the terms I think we should be using. What are the other things that I'm suggesting you to use? And you use that information to then build a content for your website, right? So, for example, you would have in my case, I'm fairly local. I'm looking at Los Angeles, so I'll use ATM services in Los Angeles or an ATM business in Los Angeles. That's because I want to remain local to where I am. I had no interest in going national at the moment. We'll see. So when I started my website, and for my ATM business, I only started it probably about less than 6 months ago, because I had initially, I've been running this business for about 8 years. I had no interest in being found on the web. I was happy doing what I was doing. I had no reason to have anything on the web for myself, and that was a decision I made for this particular business, which is kind of counterintuitive to what I do as a regular business, right? But then I was trying to branch into a slightly different area, and I thought, okay, well, I need to have some presence, so people are looking for it. I'll be found. And one of those areas is dispensaries. And I thought, okay, well, there's a good opportunity to be found for dispensaries. And within those 3 or 4 months that I had the website up, I was being found on Google, and I ended up with a dispensary as part of that. So it kind of worked its magic and did its thing, and actually ended up with a client, and the type of client I was looking for. Although it's not that great, but it's good. So as technical side of things, there's what we call on-page optimization and off-page optimization. On-page optimization is the actual content that you actually write for your pages, and that content, it needs to be relevant to the industry. It needs to be relevant to your audience, and it should answer kind of questions that people might be thinking of asking. So if they come onto your website and say, well, I'm looking for an ATM business in Los Angeles, in my case, the web page has to answer that need. It has to answer that question. And if it answers that question, they'll be more likely to send you a query, send you a form, or maybe even give you a call. The other side of it is the internal aspects of how you create content. And these are, there's meta tags, there's header tags. I'll show you some other stuff on that, and we'll circle back on this. And then the URL structure, which is basically if you're on Google, I mean, from the phone is a little bit more difficult, but if you're on a desktop and you'll type in your web address, and then it'll give you a slash, and then give you, for example, services slash ATMs in Los Angeles, right? So that would be something that's kind of clean. It kind of tells you what you're doing and where you're at. Let me see if I can give you an example of that. It's here. You see this screen? You see that?
Yeah, we see.
Okay,
Coffee
so
and
in this
cat.
case, so I have my website, and this was specific that where I was looking for. So debit card processing for the ATM, for the cannabis industry. So that gives you what I term as a clean URL.
Right now it's on like the Facebook.
Yeah,
Okay.
there we go. Okay. One of the things that a lot of people forget to do is, when you have images on your website, most people will just dump the picture in. It could be, it could be from your phone that you've taken a picture, or you found some stock art, and it'll be just some random name that's been given. But one of the things that you should do, and it's surprising how many people don't do that, is actually rename your image to a keyword that you're thinking of, and then upload that to your website. Because Google will look through your entire website and it'll look at the images as well and try to figure out what that image is about. Now, if you've renamed your image to a particular name, suddenly that's going to be found as well. And so then that'll mean that it's actually being found on Google as well. And so all of this has a multiplier effect on being found on Google. And then we have the off-page SEO. This is the stuff that takes a lot more time to do. It's finding what we call backlinks. So this is now getting people to link back to your website. So you have other companies that you link to, and those companies link back to you. And you'd be asking, well, why would people want to do that? If you have relevant content on your site, and it's good content, and you can find a trusted company that are willing to say, okay, look, I have this information on my website. Would you mind linking back to me? Sometimes you have to pay for that. Sometimes you don't. It's just a question of finding who you can link with. And what that does is it helps with Google, because Google say, okay, well, this is the guy's website. The link to this other company, which is relevant and complementary to what you're doing. Suddenly that helps in terms of Google saying, okay, well, this has more authority, and therefore I'm going to give this more higher presence on Google. And then it goes on with social media as well. So if you're posting stuff on Facebook and Instagram, making sure you're linking that back to your website. And again, all of these links help build up your portfolio and your rankings on Google. And again, a lot of this stuff does take time. And then the biggest one is, and it's probably the most difficult for most people, is writing articles. And writing articles that have relevant information. Again, it's all about information. A lot of this is about information. And if you have content on your site that you're writing regularly, and it has the keywords that you want to be found for, then that starts being ranked on Google and being found on Google. Okay, so a couple more technical things. Site speed is very important. How fast is your website coming up? How fast is it being loaded? A website should be coming up within a couple of seconds, no more than 3 or 4 seconds. Because when Google looks at it and it's taking its time, it's gonna almost penalize you for being slow. So it's making sure you have the infrastructure and the hosting environment, because you can get hosting for dirt cheap, and sometimes that dirt cheap is it's $3, $4, $5 a month, and what that means is they're putting you onto a server which is hosting probably hundreds of other websites. We don't know what those other websites are about and how much resource they're taking off that server. And then what that potentially means is it's actually slowing your website down in terms of coming up. Plus, if the architecture of the website is not optimal, then that will slow down how quickly your website's loading. And we're not talking minutes here. This is like seconds of stuff, right? So it's meant to be fairly quick. The other side is having it again. We do, as I said this at the beginning. It's to do with being mobile friendly. Can your website be easily visible on a phone? Because that's where most of the traffic is now going to. Most people do not use their desktop. They're on their phones and looking at stuff. How easy is it to navigate through your site using a phone? And then we have sitemaps. Sitemaps are basically a quick way for Google to say, okay, well, give me the structure of your website. So you have your homepage, you might have your about page, you might have several other pages on your site, and you're making sure that there's an easy way for Google to say, okay, this is the layout of the site, and these are the pages and the links to those sites. And it's making sure that people are able to Google is able to see that very quickly, and then it uses that as almost a point of navigation through to your site to say, okay, well, these are the pages that I'm going to put into the Google database, and then eventually try to get you found. I think this one kind of speaks for itself. It's making sure, again, it's having high quality content, having relevant images, and if you have the time, use video as a great way of boosting your visibility on Google. If you can create a YouTube channel with maybe how to fix an ATM, or if there's stuff that from our business, it's just like how do I do this? Or if I get into a bind with something else, how do I fix this? Or and if you have that stuff on YouTube, you then link it back to your website so people can actually see it from your web, and then have a link back to YouTube. Suddenly that adds a whole different dimension into you being found. If you're local and you have, I don't know, I mainly work from home. I do have an office, but I generally don't go there to use it. But if you have an office address or a business address, I would suggest trying to get your Google listing done, so that if it becomes part of the whole thing. When people are searching for you, your stuff will come up because you have an address that physically people can go to. I think this was something I mentioned earlier. Anyways, it's keeping content relevant. It's keeping it updated. It's making sure that you're constantly updating some of the information on the site. And this is kind of the big part of the whole thing. It's making it's having the analytics. So when you created your website, it's how are you being found and what are you being found for. One of the things you should have on your website is Google Analytics. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to set up. It's fairly easy to put onto your website. And what it does, it tracks everything that's happening with your website, where people are coming from, what keywords people have searched for, and how many times people have come onto your website. And that gives you invaluable information in terms of, okay, am I being found for the terms that I wanted to be found for? Or if I'm being found for something else that's incorrect, why is that coming up? Is my content incorrect, or is my content correct? And data is a big part of how you move forward with growing your business and growing your presence online. And then it gives you, I guess, a pathway to see what you need to do on your site to make the adjustments. And those adjustments don't need to be major. They could be very, very minor adjustments. So some of the tools, there's a keyword planner, which you can use to say, okay, well, these are the terms. I don't know what other terms I want to be found for. You can use that as a basis point, as a starting point, to do that. It's free. You can use that. There are other tools that are paid for, which will give you a lot more detailed analysis. Like you have SEM Rush, you have Ahrefs. They have a free version of their stuff as well, but they also have paid versions as well. So I think you can use up to a certain amount on they vary. So you can have a look at those. And if you need the links, I can send those links at some point. Google Analytics, as I already said, and then there's Search Engine Console. So it's finding out where your issues are, if there are any issues on your site, if some of the pages that you thought were there suddenly are not turning up, what's going on with the site, and that's where you can use some of these tools. So fairly quickly, it's basically increasing visibility. It's cost effective because if you want to do it yourself, you can, and it gives you a lot of credibility. And that's all I have for that. Go on to some other stuff. Any questions so far?
No, everything's great so far. Loving it.
Okay, so I'm gonna have a look at one of the tools that we use in the office here. So I took a couple of people that some of you might know. There's one company called Rundash. I don't know who owns that one. There's another company called New England ATMs, and there's another one that came up, which is atmmachines.com. Never heard of these guys, but I did when I was doing my research. I came across these. So this tool here allows me to see what kind of keywords are coming up, and what are the keywords that these websites are being found for.
So
Yeah, so go on.
you can look up keywords that other people put on their website. It's not like
Yeah. And so so for example, in this case, this is giving me, okay, these guys, this atmmachines.com, they've got almost 4,000 words that are unique to them. We have 500 keywords that are common between them and New England. We have 160 something which are common between Rundash and ATM. And then we have something that's common between New England and Rundash. And then there's an intersection between all three of them. So what this allows me to do, again, this is all the analysis, right? It's looking at what is it that people are.
Hey, Rush,
Yeah, go on.
can you put that on the screen right now? I'm just seeing the slideshow.
That's what I was going to ask as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fine. Let me. Oh my God. Just stop sharing, and I want to share again.
now I know where Rundash is copying.
Okay, you can see this?
Yeah, that's good.
Move this out of the way. Well, yeah, people can see that.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, cool, perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
so this allows me, from an analytics point of view, to say, okay, well, what are these companies doing? And what are they doing right? And what is it, they're being found for? And then I can use this information to say, okay, well, if I want to compete in this sphere, what is it I need to do from my web point of view to do that? And so in this case, a lot of the keywords, let me see, we were doing, let's go for the intersection between all three of them. So in this case, one of the big words is ATMs for sale. So I'm guessing all three of the these websites are selling stuff. And I know Rundash is because I buy a bunch of stuff from him. So yeah. And so this is one of the tools that we use. I mean, there's a bunch of other tools that we use. So Keyword Planner again is another one. So this is one I ran this morning. And I said, what are the keywords? In this case, if I don't have a website that I want to put together, but I'm looking at something to put together, I'm putting these two keywords. So ATMs for my business, ATMs for your business. That's two options. And then this gives me an idea of what are the keywords and how much competition there is and how much search volume there is. Because if it's low search volume, then do you really need that? Because nobody's actually looking for that term. So in this case, ATM for my business, it has between 100 and 1,000, searches per month, which isn't massive. But then I'm not expecting this to be in the millions, right? Because of the industry that we're in. But the competition is high for that word, right? So what that means is there's a lot more people using the similar term on their websites. So trying to be ranked for that could be more difficult. Then you have something, there's a whole bunch of keywords on here. So the medium competition gives you something that can, I can play with this. Might be found easier for this. But the other side of this is interesting is if you want to use paid advertising, what are you expecting to pay for paid advertising? So in this case, for ATMs for my business, I'm looking at around $2 a click, up to maybe 17 or 18 bucks a click, which can become quite expensive at some point because it's a high competition. So then on this side of things, what you want to do is you've got to then think, okay, well, do I have a budget that I want to put in place for Google Ads? Do I want to spend $500 a month or $1,000 a month or $5,000 a month, whatever it is? And what can I potentially get from that? It becomes a bit of a suck it and see kind of thing with this because it's if you land a great contract, yeah, okay, well that's fine. $500 is neither here or there. But if you're spending that month in, month out, and you're not getting any quality, then the good thing with Google Ads is you can just stop it and you're done with it sort of thing. But with any of this stuff, you want to leave it long enough to run and therefore have the budget for that. And typically for ads and Google Ads, we recommend at least 3 to 6 months of ad spend. So, you need to make sure that you have enough budget for 3 to 6 months before you make a decision. Because again, what happens with this is it's all about data. It's collecting enough data to kind of optimize your ads and making sure it's working for you. But you want to have enough data for at least 2 to 3 months at a minimum before you can kind of make a decision on that. So that's the other. But what we use this for is more for the keywords to say, okay, well, these are the keywords that people want to be found for. And then how do I use this in content for my website? So I'll give you an example. I mean, let's see. ATM. Let's see what comes up. Oh, damn. Ooh. Wasn't expecting that. I haven't even typed that one in before, but there we are. Okay, so in this case, I've come up right at the top. Cool, nice. And that's because I have enough information on my site for this to come up. I mean, one of the things I noticed when I was doing a lot of research on our business, the great thing is you could come up on Google very quickly because not a lot of people are on the web. And the competition, therefore, is fairly slim. So to grow your business to another level, it could be fairly straightforward to do. And being found on Google, because there isn't that much competition there, you'd be surprised how quickly you can be found on Google. Cool. Okay, any questions? Anything you want to go through a little bit more detail?
What is like, how ATMmachines.com, they're national, but what are they doing where no matter what state you're in, what city you're in, you type it in, they're always popping up? I mean, I'm pretty sure they're not paying sponsor for every single state in. But what are they doing?
Which one is that one? Which company?
ATMmachines.com. And another one was
Bernetta.
Yeah,
Bernetta.
Bernetta
what you
Bernetta
type in,
comes up. for sure. Well,
No matter where you type it in, they pop up on top.
on here, if I look at this again, see Prinetta are there. So, okay, so if you look at if you look at those top three there, you have Rundash, you have ATM machines, and you have Prinetta. Those three, they have a lot of content on their site. So if we look at so if you look at these guys here, they have quite a bit of content on their site. And if you look at Rundash, which is Dave's company, he has quite a lot of content on his site as well. If I bring that up as well, Rundash. So again, he's got a lot of content on here. And with Dave's, he's focusing locally as well. So he's going to each state. With where do we go with these guys here? These guys offer a bunch of services. I mean, I don't know how long ATM machines have been around. I'm going to do a bit of quick research and find out for that. They may have been around for a while. I mean, I don't know if anybody knows these guys.
I think like since 2001. That's what I read on their website.
Okay. So I mean, yeah. So they've got 20 something extra years on here. I mean, if they've had the website for that long, that in itself will help them being found, because the age of the domain has an impact on your search engine optimization as well. So if you're a brand new company, you'll still get there, but it'll look at the age of the domain, and if it's been around for a while and they've had iterations of the website already, all of that will help bring them some traction and some visibility online.
What's up? What's going on?
Did you bring the gas?
Nope. I bought doors. I need to get that out of the way first.
What are you telling us? Like every day, like you need the trucks ready for some.
Yeah, but don't start, please. I mean, the thing is unlevel right now. It's like water sitting on there, rusting. I mean, it's not level. No, it's definitely not leveled. Is he coming out?
It's more technical
Hey,
stuff.
Roger,
one of
I was
you-
gonna. Oh, sorry.
Can you help me down?
Can you
Yeah,
mute
go
on.
Anthony Burke?
Yeah, his mic's
Yeah.
on.
Thank you.
Mute. There we go. Done. Sorry, what were you saying? Really?
So what are okay, say I'm just a business owner looking for ATM. Obviously, we're not gonna think the same way as them, right? What kind of things do they like? I'm pretty sure they type in ATM for sale or buy an ATM, right? Like, what are some keywords that random people think of when they go?
Well, I think some of those words are more like ATM for my business. It is an easy one, right? I need an ATM for my business. That's an easy one to use. It's always a tough one to kind of gauge what people will ask for, and that's where your keyword research comes into it, right? So
Yeah, because I was thinking people with language barriers, they kind of just type in ATM, like ATM machine, like something like out of the ordinary. You know what I mean? So if you start thinking like them, like how they think and type or what they type, you could kind of differentiate yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because they're
definitely.
not going to know exactly what to
And I
type.
guess the other side of this is having your site in the multilingual side of things. I know in California it would make a big difference. Certainly if you've got English and Spanish, you're certainly targeting a different audience, right? Because if you know Spanish and you can put the text together, or if you can get somebody to translate some of that text for you, suddenly that in itself will differentiate you anyway. In California, I mean, I don't know about the other states, but when we're talking locally here. So that in itself would make a massive difference. So from your point of view, Vinny, if you I know you've just got your website done recently and you're still working on it, you should maybe even think about if you want to target the Hispanic audience, suddenly that could be a way forward. And and it's something I'd be looking at doing myself. But for the fact that I don't speak Spanish, so me going into a store, and what am I going to do? I'm not going to be able to do anything. But
Along those lines, let me
sorry,
ask you this,
sure.
Raj. So, in what you offer, that's a service you offer in terms of the SEO stuff, all that, right?
Yeah.
But let's say, like me, for my company right now, I don't have a website. So you can, right from the ground up, you can handle the whole, per se, lack of better words, the project, and you
Yeah,
can
in
take that
essence,
on.
yeah, we could do, yeah, completely. I mean, the only thing
Okay.
that we always hesitate to do is write content. And the reason that we hesitate to write content is because, I mean, okay, from the ATM point of view, I know the business as well. But from my other business, which is the web development business, we don't know your business as well as you do.
Got it.
So we always ask the clients to at least come up with some content. Then we can embellish and change and whatever we need to, but we need a good starting point to get that going. I mean, from the
Right.
AT business, yeah, I mean, I could whip something together because I've been in the industry long enough to kind of figure out that side of thing. But that's just because I know that. But if I was in a different industry, I'd be like, no, I need content from you to write because I can write content for you. And that actually leads us on to something else. Is content written by AI?
Right.
It gives you a great way of writing content easily, but at some point Google will start penalizing people for that. And the reason is because it'll know that it wasn't written by a human, it's written by AI. And there are tools out there already to say, okay, well, yeah, I know this content wasn't written by you, it was written by the AI side of things. And
So
how genuine is that content? So that's a whole different.
So it's perfect that you talked about content because that takes me to my next question. So I have a professional that I'm working with that handles my social media, and I believe she's still here. Yeah, Colleen's still here. She handles this for me. Now she has a specific portfolio that she handles. She's an expert at doing what she does, right? Including, if I had this conversation with her, she could put the content together, right?
Yes.
And then move it forward. But are you comfortable with if there is collaboration between you and a professional that I am already engaged with?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No issues with that sort of stuff. Yeah. We
Got it.
over the last 20, 25 years or whatever, we've collaborated with all kinds of people, right? So it's not an issue.
Right. No, again, I'm heading in a different direction where I was a year ago, 6 months ago, and I'm headed in a different direction in terms of my growth. And this is something that I haven't gotten around to it yet. I think you and I have just casually chatted
Yeah.
about a website in the past, but we got things to see and people to do, and really don't get around to it. But no, this is great. I mean, I'm gonna have to get into a deeper conversation with you about this, and then reel in Colleen and get her blessings as well on
Yeah,
this.
absolutely. By all means, happy to have a chat. It's no issues. Doesn't cost anybody anything, so it's all good.
Yeah, I would love to collaborate. All this information on SEO, so good. Thank you for sharing all of it. It's amazing.
Wonderful. I'm glad you liked it. Hopefully, it wasn't too technical. Maybe a little bit, but nothing too daunting for most of the people.
Well, I feel
I
like
think
it is kind of technical in general, but over time, it's so amazing. It's so important. So, anyway.
And I think what's great is that you brought you brought the words AI up there, and a lot of people today, they use Wix and they use AI to put stuff together, and they say, "Oh yeah, I'm done." That's not the reality of it, because when it comes down to it, you need somebody who's got his lights on, like you in this case, you know.
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes you see all kinds of stuff, you know, 5 people will type the same exact question in AI and see
Yeah.
they'll get the exact same content.
Mhm.
And you're like, look at this fool. This is completely AI. I think recently, a couple of weeks ago, somebody posted something in Facebook and it took less than 5 minutes, and Dave had pointed out to him that, hey, dude, this is AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know, so it's versus the authenticity that
Yes.
you as your
I mean, I mean, you'll never, if you're writing your own stuff, because this is, you know, in the business point of view, this is your own business. Therefore, you should be passionate enough to know your business. Okay, getting the words out might be a little bit difficult, but if you have something that you can, or if you can bounce it off other people, suddenly you can start writing that content yourself, or get help to write that content. But there's sometimes even we struggle, right, to write content for people. It's just like, okay, well, what do we write, right? So then you start doing a whole bunch of research around stuff, and then trying to put something together. And that's again with social media as well. It's exactly the same principle for that as well. You're writing content, but is that content relevant? And how much of that can I push to AI, or to make it authentic enough, or can I do it myself to get it authentic? And I mean, AI is great. We use it occasionally on some of the stuff. I use it for a bunch of stuff. Certainly from a programming point of view, I'll use it all day long because it's saving me so much time to do a lot of stuff. I know what I want to do. And my background was always programming, but I haven't done it for the last 15 years. So, I'm in a different place with all of that. But I know what I need to do from an analysis point of view, so I can get the AI to write that programming side of things for me. But content is slightly different, right? You can get AI to put all of it together and to save you a bunch of time, right? So that's something you could do. But I'd be wary about actually allowing it to generate content for you all the time. Yeah, now and again, fair enough. Okay, it's great, it's exciting, it's something new. And initially, at the moment, it's okay to do, but at some point, Google will start penalizing people for it. And that's what you've got to be wary of. Any more questions? Anybody? Anything else? No?
Yeah, it's pretty cool how you could see like other keywords and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know if you can you see this screen here with this is a bit more technical side of things in terms of, let me see, I don't know what I'm sharing at the moment. I've got two screens open. Let's see, sharing, stop sharing, and start sharing again. So a bit more of a technical side. So there's, when I was talking about how to lay out, and this is a fairly basic layout on a website. So there's no content, but it's having these meta tags on your site, which most people should have. And then there's a bunch of other stuff which are all meta tags, which is the stuff that Google will start using as a starting point. But more importantly, it's these tags, the H1 tags, H2 tags. Because the H1 tags, what Google will do is they'll look at those as a starting point to say, okay, well, what is this particular page about? And so this is where you start using.
How here? Yeah. Yeah. ATM ATM? Yeah.
Another one. Mute, please.
So yeah, this side of things is kind of important. It's having the right structure. And if you have too many of these H1 tags or H2 tags, suddenly it's almost kind of confusing for Google. And so you've got to make sure when whoever's developing your site is not overusing some of these tags. Normally, what we suggest is on a single page of a site, you should only have one H1 tag and maybe two, maybe three at a max of H2 tags. and then moving it further down the scale. So you have H1, H2, H3, H4, and you carry on going down. And again, it's down to what kind of content you have on your website as well. So that's kind of important. But this is a kind of a basic document that I put together for that.
Kind of off topic, but this method is called the waterfall, right? In the way the coding is written up.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
uh, in a prior life, I used to. I'm like, wait a second, that looks kind of familiar. So going back to the topics, so I see that you talked about the optimization with the website and the way it shows up on Google, etc.
Yeah.
But in today's day and time, can you talk a little more about the relationship where let's say I use your company services and do my website, etc.
Yeah.
What kind of a role does that play in the social media, or vice versa? Can you talk a little bit about that? Because
okay, so they can be mutually exclusive. You can have your website and have that separate completely to your social media, as long as your branding is the same, right? The important thing is having it consistent. There's no point having your website looking completely different to what you're doing on the social media. The two need to be together. That's by all means that's gonna be fundamental, right? That's gonna be super important. But in terms of who does what, it's of no relevance. It doesn't matter. Either we would do it as an agency, or another agency would do it for you, or you'd work with a third party, individual or whatever it is, and get them to do that. Is that the question you're asking, or is it slightly different?
Well, it kind of not exactly. So what, like for example, today I have an Instagram, I have a Facebook. I do not have a website.
Sure.
Now, obviously, there's going to be some interaction there, where I'm going to be like, okay, at some point in, let's say my website, we're going to put, hey, check us out on Instagram, right? And obviously, some people will go up from, even consider doing it. Others who will, instead of clicking on the link, they'll open up on a different platform and pull stuff. Others won't, But what I'm trying to say is, in terms of, stuff like you talked about some images, stuff like that, we kind of, where you said it makes more sense to name them specifically rather than those generic names.
Yes.
Right? So I'm just trying to kind of get a little more
Understanding on that.
Understanding on that. Yeah, thank you.
That's fine. I know.
Those brain farts.
Okay, so it's probably more important for the web to have the named images, because you can do that, right? With social media and stuff, you can't, as far as I know, and I don't think you can rename your images. But what you can do is obviously you can have the text that you're adding to that image as part of that, right? So you can say, okay, well, this when it's when you put a Facebook page up, but when you put an Instagram page up, you're putting content as part of that. You're not just loading up an image, right? But you can't name the image, because those platforms don't allow you to do that.
Right.
But with your website, you have full control, or you should have full control of all of that.
Okay.
And again, it
I
depends
think
on the platform. It partially depends on the platform you're going to be you use. Predominantly we use WordPress as our engine to do most of the websites that we do. But you have Wix, as you mentioned as well. You have Shopify if you're selling online. You have a bunch of other options that you can go with, and it's just down to which one you use and how much flexibility it gives you to do whatever you need to do. Or you can go with what I showed you is pure raw HTML and build it from the ground up, which is I wouldn't suggest doing that to anybody. But the great thing with
Uh,
that is it's super fast. You load up instantly, right? So there's never issues with the speed.
I
Generally.
mean, look, yeah, I don't know if everybody here gets that. I do. Like I said, I'm a has been. I remember my
Yeah.
first program. What was it? Hello Computer or Hello World? Hello World. That's what we all start out with, right? And based on different languages, whether it's C, C++, Foxtrot, whatever you not. So
There we
yeah,
go.
we've come a long way since then. In terms of the different word process and different platforms we can use, AI, etc. We can use. It's amazing.
Definitely.
Obviously, I have your contact information, but I'm gonna reach out to you. But before I forget, although there's quite a few people here who don't have your contact information, so you may want to provide that. Otherwise you'll go out on another vacation starting later this afternoon, and you'll forget,
Yeah,
dude.
I'll put my phone number in here. Let's see, put it in the chat here.
Thank you, Raj, for making this happen. It really makes a difference, because sometimes I think there's a lot of people who say, this needs to be done. I need to get to it sometime, somewhere, at some point. Uh, but never get around to it until you're sticking right there in my face. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? This guy's right here. Why am I even, looking around? So thank you for that. And Colleen, thanks for making yourself available as a marketing professional as well.
All right, thanks guys. Am I ending this or we